Well, good morning, Cade Chapel. God bless you. Listen, you know that it's Black History Month here at Cade Chapel. We've been celebrating all month long, but we've also been celebrating and encouraging you to go be great. One of the things that we enjoy here at Cade Chapel is a wonderful music tradition, a great legacy of music, a breadth of music, enjoying all of the various types of music, thanks in part to our minister of music, Brother Beret Thigpen, who's been serving for so many years. This morning, we are excited to bring to us a very special guest. Some of you may know her, many of you may not. But she is a wonderful, wonderful instrumentalist, a wonderful musician, and just a wonderful spirit. And we're very pleased to bring her to you this morning. And she's going to share not only her music, but she's going to share her story with you this morning. Let's bring on and let's welcome together our dear friend, our sister in Christ, Sister Patrice Jackson-Tilghman. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Good
How are you this
morning.
morning?
I'm good. I am so good.
Listen, I know there's some people right now who are just their jaws are dropped because they had no idea that they were going to be seeing you this morning, and we're going to get to who those people are in just a moment. But
Yes.
but but before we do, let me just properly introduce you and let people know something about who you are. You are a native of St. Louis, Missouri, the Show Me State.
Yes.
You went on to graduate from the Juilliard School of Performing Arts. Yeah, I think you also went to the Yale School of Music. You have degrees from both of those. You have these amazing credentials. You have performed around the world as a cellist. You've performed with all of the big name symphonies across the United States as well as international. I believe you started your debut in South Africa. Is that right?
I did a recital and a concert.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So, and what I love about your story is that you're not just this classical musician, but you make your music relatable. And so you've performed with the big names of Stevie Wonder and J. Cole and Alicia Keys and all these people, that Kanye West, all the people who my young people will say, "Oh, wait a minute, I want to know something about this chick. Who is she? Who is this lady?" Right? And I say chick because you're just so fly like that. I mean, you really have.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So thank you for being with us, really, and thank you for sharing your gift with us that we'll hear later. But more about who you are. Who is Patrice Jackson-Tilghman? Tell us who you are.
Well, first and foremost, I'm just a Christian, just trying to make it in this world. I'm also a wife, and I am now a mother of two. So, and then I just so happen to have this gift to play an instrument, that has kind of funded my life. That's pretty much who I am, you know?
I love the humility. One of the things we've been discussing this month, and as we talk about go and be great, we had a discussion, an entry on one day about being humble, and what a wonderful gift it is to see your humility, but knowing that you're this awesome musician who's done so many great things. Right now, in fact, one of the great things that you're doing, you're a professor of music at the Berklee School College of Music at the Boston Conservatory. And I believe this is a first. Is that right?
Yes. Well, at Berklee College of Music, the prestigious Berklee College of Music, I am the first African American female to be hired in the strings department. So it's pretty great. And then, I can't hold my blessing just to myself. So I encouraged a friend of mine who ended up applying, and now the two of us are holding down the strings department. And her name is Dr. Chelsea Green. And after being there for a little bit of time, according, I wasn't there too long. I was given the allowance to go from part-time to full-time. And then with that, there was a petition at the conservatory for me to join that cello faculty. It was only been two people for years. Years. They've been holding it down. And then there's been, with wanting to increase diversity a few years ago, my name came up and they asked if I wanted to join the faculty over there, and it's been great.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. So you allude to the fact that for years that there's been a certain look, a certain um, uh, per, certain persons, I'd say, who populate those spaces. You being a woman of color
Yes,
in some spaces where you don't typically find us,
yes.
what's been some of the challenges that you've experienced and had to overcome as a Black woman in those spaces?
I think the biggest challenge is just to break the stereotype. I
Hmm.
mean, people assume, and this is just across the board, we as human beings, when we see somebody walking down the street, doesn't matter what they look like, we're already making our assumptions by the way they walk, by the way they look, by the way they talk, all of that. So just trying to recreate that assumption of me has been the biggest challenge.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So it's stories like yours are so amazing for a number of reasons, but one of them, I believe, is because when young people look at you, um, they hopefully will see themselves, the potential of themselves, knowing that here's a sister who has gone on and is doing these amazing things, has done these amazing things, and is continuing to even pave the way. But even more than that, you're a sister who is connected to us in some very specific ways.
Yes.
Tell us who you are and your connection to Cade Chapel.
So can I do this really quick? Can I take a pause for a second?
Do your thing.
I want to give a special shout out. Hey, Grandma! Ah! If everybody, if you don't know, my grandmother Lucille Green. Yes, Lucille Green. I call her Grandma, but I will refer to her in the rest of this interview as Grandma Lucille. But I was very humbled and honored to get this phone conversation and phone call from Brother Buckley because I have a long-standing relationship with Case Chapel through my grandmother. So very quickly, I'll just say this for the older members, you probably remember my great grandmother, Gussie Seals.
Absolutely.
So she actually, I know she was a long-standing member of Kay's Chapel, and then my grandmother came up through Kay's, and then subsequently my mom came up through Kay's. I don't know if some of you guys remember my mother, Chiquita Green, who's now Chiquita Jackson.
Yeah.
When by the time I came along, one of the special things was, my family after my parents got married, my parents moved to St. Louis because of my dad getting accepted to the St. Louis Conservatory. He's a bass player. So I grew up in St. Louis, but all of my extended family is in Mississippi. And so we would always go to Macomb because that's where my dad's side is. And then we would spend some time there, and then we would come up to Jackson, spend some time there, and then travel back to St. Louis. And so every time we came to Jackson, especially if it was over a weekend, we always made a trip to Kay's and saw Brother Buckley, and my grandmother being all proud of me and stuff. Your dad probably remembers that because I played the piano, she would let me play and, in a worship service and stuff. And I'm sure my mom probably played a little bit too, growing up. But that was always special to me. Those little bitty moments that seem not a big deal unless, but those moments I will always cherish. And then with grandma, grandma is so proud of everyone else's accomplishments. She talks about herself, but not as much. So I know this is supposed to be about me, but I just want to share the monumental things that she has done because my grandma is real special, to be able to go to Africa, the continent twice. The first one I will say I'm proud of that she got to go with me. When I made my debut down in South Africa, I got to take her along with me.
Nice.
So she loved it so much that she decided to do a mission trip. She came back and did a mission trip on her own, and it was great. And many of you know that she got her doctorate later in life. Who does that? Because I know I don't have the patience. I'm not even at that age. I just don't have the patience to go back to school. So God bless her for that. She endured it. It was not always peaches and cream, but she still endured it. And it's something that we all are very, very proud of. Y'all have, I'm sure everybody in the congregation has witnessed her cooking. Yes, I'm so jealous
Absolutely.
of every one of y'all because you get to taste it on a regular basis. Yes. She's just a wonderful person. And the connection musically, just to bring it back, is I am so grateful for both Gramps, Gussie Seals, I call her Gramps, for her and my mom to encourage the culture of classical music.
Sure.
So, because it really does take a village, and our culture is not necessarily seasoned to grow up and appreciate classical music, but
Sure.
Gramps had the opportunity to go to symphony concerts with the family that she was working for, and she knew that there was something special. And then when my mom grew an interest in piano, both of them really cultivated that gift. And so,
Absolutely.
which subsequently, when I came along and showed interest, my parents were able to cultivate their gift. I got that encouragement from Gramps and from Grandma. So I really had to take this point and just say thank you, Grandma. I love you so so much. I cherish you to pieces. The only regret I have is that I'm not down there with you. But we talk all the time. I love you so much. We talk all the time. I love all the stories and whatnot. So I had, we can go back to the interview now.
Oh, no, no, yeah, that's a wonderful tribute. That's a wonderful tribute, and so well deserving. And thank you for making the connection, because it really does. These seeds that we plant, oftentimes we don't know how they're going to grow, what fruit's going to be produced, and the wonderful things that are going to happen. And so we're thankful that in whatever part we've been able to play in
Yes,
your awesome success, that
yes,
we've been able to do that. So yeah, we take pride in you. We take pride in who you are
thank
and the
you.
wonderful things that you are doing. So that being said, tell us about something we're going to hear now. We're going to hear something from you.
Oh, snap. So you are going to hear, although I'm not going to say everything, I'm just going to say this. You're going to hear a rendition of the Negro spiritual, Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child. Um, the story behind it is back when I was in college, I went to Yale University first, and entered a master's program right out of high school. We talk about that later, or Grandma can actually fill you in on the particulars. But I did it, and while I was there, I won this major competition. And actually, that cello teacher was Brazilian, very famous cello teacher, actually. Just very charismatic, and his playing and everything just amazing. And he, for whatever reason, took me under his wing. And when I went to Yale, coming from St. Louis, I was like, man, bump the relaxer out. Did a buzz cut, went natural. And then I realized it's December on the East Coast. Probably not the best thing. Yeah, my head was cold. So I saw this lady on campus who ended up being a master's student, teaching African dance, and she had these material things on her head. I was like, that would keep my head warm. So I asked her about it. She took me to her crib. We had, a whole little tutorial situation going on. Ended up showing me how she studied dance as a project in West Africa. And I saw some of the footage from there. It just changed my whole world. And then she gave me one of her head wraps. And then I wore it to a lesson with Mr. Perry. So he was like, that's your look.
Hmm.
That's your look. And he encouraged it every time I showed up. I had to have something Afrocentric on. And so years later, I graduated. I won this major competition. As a classical soloist, sometimes the audience calls for an encore. And typically the culture of classical music, especially the soloist, the cellist will come back and maybe play some solo Bach or something, that's beautiful. Boom. I played a spiritual. And people liked it. I got to stand up there. I was like, oh, okay, this is okay. Okay. So I kind of gained a reputation of playing spirituals on the concert stage, after I would play a solo concert. And then when I graduated from Yale, went to Juilliard, there was a friend of mine named Antonio Brown. You can follow him on YouTube, on Instagram. He's
Okay.
still dancing, but he was a dance student. And at the end of the first semester, the project was they had to link up with somebody that's a non-dancer and do a project together. So Antonio came to me. Tyler Perry's play just came out. I Can Do Battle by Myself. And there's a scene in the play where, at the beginning of the play, where the daughter has an interaction with her mom, and she's so standoffish that the mother storms out the room or whatever. And the girl, next split second, she goes, "Sometimes I feel," you know. So
Yeah.
Antonio presented that to me. It was like, "Is there a way you could do this for solo cello?" I was like, "That's interesting." So I started playing that rendition that I came up with. I did it for his project. It came across very well. And then I tested it on the concert stage and people liked it. And then for my graduate recital, I was practicing with my pianist. And then I saw a friend of mine that's a jazz pianist just roaming the hallways. I said, "Hey, that person's name is Jonathan Batiste." And I'm mentioning Jonathan because he has this big gig now.
Sure.
And
Stephen Colbert's guy. Is that?
yes.
Yeah,
Then,
sure.
if you guys have seen the movie Soul, which I encourage everybody to go see,
Yeah,
if
right.
you've seen it, the main character was formulated after John.
Gotcha.
So
Wow.
that's John. So my dad was at the school with me, and I was like, "Hey, John, why don't you come in here and jam out real quick? I'm learning this Motherless Child thing, and I was wondering if you can put some chord changes on it." He did an amazing job. And then at my graduate recital, I brought him up and we did that as an encore. Years later, I linked up with another alum from Juilliard who's classical pianist, and had him to learn whatever the chords was, because I don't know this language, I'm not a jazz musician. But between the two of us, we figured it out. And so you're just gonna hear my rendition of Motherless Child, and I hope that you enjoy it. It should be something that you've probably never heard before. I'm hoping to bring it home to church, and not because this is for church, but I linked up with another friend of mine, and you'll see. That's all I'm
Awesome.
gonna say. So
Awesome. Well, listen, thanks for taking the time to talk with us, and thanks for just being the great individual you are. I love your heart, love your spirit, and
thank
love your
you.
music. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for being you, and we're looking forward to not only hearing this, but some great things in the future,
Yes, sir.
with some great opportunities for partnerships, with bringing classical music back to the forefront in Mississippi. Not that it's gone anywhere, but I think sometimes we look at all other genres, and sometimes it gets pushed to the side, particularly among our people. So
Yes.
we know there is greatness here in all these areas, and we want to highlight that. So thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you for even asking again. This means so much to me. So much to me. And you already know, you family. We have a long relationship. So thank you for all of that you're doing with the church. And please give my love to your father as well, and your mom.
Bless you.
I know we in COVID, but please give them a bear hug for me. Yeah. And while we're at
Bless you.
it, please give a bear hug to my grandmother and continue to take care of her. She speaks so highly of everyone. So the congregation as well, thank you for taking and wrapping your arms around her as well. Hope grandma ain't crying at this point.
Probably so, but who would blame her, right? Who would blame her? Bless you. Bless you.
Hello, Cage Chapel. Hi. I hope everybody's doing well. I just want to send another thank you so much to you and to your pastor, Pastor Buckley. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for allowing me to be able to perform for your congregation this morning. And also, I wanted to formally introduce my pianist, Shedrick Mitchell. He is a huge friend of mine, but also a big big brother in Christ. I call him my god brother, who's also from St. Louis, so we shared that connection. But he's also done so many amazing things. He has toured the world with some of the greatest gospel artists in our time, such as Shirley Caesar, Richard Smallwood, Donnie McClurkin, the list goes on, as well as performing and touring with D'Angelo and Erykah Badu and Maxwell, and all of these are great, amazing artists. And for him to be able to take out a few minutes of his busy schedule to do this collaboration with me, I am so forever grateful. So I hope that everybody is enjoying themselves. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this wonderful rendition of the Negro Spiritual, Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child. Now, PSA disclosure. If you feel so inclined to be able to stand up, to wave your hands, to shout, or even speak in tongues, I am giving you that leeway because I would expect that if I was playing in your presence right now, okay? I'm gonna get a review from my grandmother and from Pastor, so make sure that you are comfortable. All right, sit back and enjoy, and thank you so much. Be blessed. Bye.
you.